Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here. Happy Wednesday to you and happy Jerome Powell Day, right? It's going to be exciting here in a few minutes what's going to happen next, of course, because as soon as that guy starts talking, things go all sorts of crazy. So keep in mind, there's going to be some volatility in the next 24 hours, or more importantly, the next 2 to 3 hours. So just be prepared for that. Hopefully you don't have any open positions. If you do, I would recommend adjusting your stop loss accordingly and or just setting some nice limit orders. We've got a healthy limit order at the low 16,000 range, just based on the fact that it might wick down before it wicks up. If it goes up before it comes down, the trade will automatically cancel. It's no big deal. All right. So again, little things that you can kind of do to, I don't know, try out new strategies, right? So stuff like today is going to impact the market. We'll see how positive that is. But outside of that fundamental catalyst there, of course, because that will be something we don't foresee is going to happen, we can look at the technical analysis and understand generally what the overall direction will be. Regardless of the candle wicks, we should see a certain direction occurring based on the current patterns and essentially what's happened so far. We're looking pretty good here for Bitcoin, though. There's no doubt about that. So before we get started, just know I'm not a financial advisor. I love teaching people to trade. If you want to become a better trader, of course, CryptoCache.tech is a site to register. I do want to share with you briefly our monthly results here so far for the month of November. So far, out of every single target that we shot for, BNB, Solana, Ethereum, those are kind of my favorites to trade. We've hit every single target that we've set. In other words, we've hit target 2 on majority of them. Some of them we even hit all profit targets, 128%, 180%, 4% and 161% for Matic. Basically just an average with 20x at 86%. So it's a pretty decent return for the month. So congratulations again to all my community members for that. Keep in mind these two trades just hit their target as well. So if we scroll down, we kind of take a look here. We can see that Ethereum hit both of its targets, target 2 at 108%, the trade is still open, as well as Bitcoin 54%. In roughly, again, 2 days' time. So all those naysayers that were talking on Sunday about taking entry and the price drops immediately after, that's why you got to be patient and wait and hold your position if you believe where it's going to go next, right? Again, different schools of thoughts for everybody. But generally speaking, we held strong, and all my community members that did so benefited greatly. So congratulations on that as well. And we're all using the best exchange possible, so make sure you use the link in the description below if you want to be available for a $10,000 prize pool. That is a fantastic exchange. Recommend Bitget consistently. It's just been awesome and easy to use, amazing level 2 data, and just those monthly benefits from our community just makes a lot of sense. So check that out in your own time if you haven't already. Everything's down below in the description. So here's the thing with Bitcoin. We're trending closer towards 50 on the RSI, right? And if we see 50 on the RSI here, we're roughly at about 45. Now that's a good sign. Now granted, we got rejected by 50 on the RSI when you think about it, because the candle wick came up this high. It basically came up to that level and got rejected. But again, we don't base today's data on big picture, right? We want to look and wait for the candlestick to close first. So with this candlestick having not closed yet, we can't really gauge that. Keep in mind, market volatility will increase here shortly. That being said, though, we have positivity there in that sense. We also have an increase in oscillator here as well, as I've been talking about. We are not losing that momentum to the upside yet. So the daily is looking still very strong. We are up over the 20-day simple moving average, or as I said yesterday, the 50. Technically, I misspoke there, but what we're looking at is the 20-day simple moving average here. Essentially, the price action is looking like it will likely close above that. Again, today might get a little funky on the shorter time frames, but generally speaking, we're looking positive there as well. So there's all good signs here. And one last thing to kind of note is we can see this Fibonacci retracement level here, right at about 1.414 at 17,150, wicked all the way up there perfectly to that level and got rejected. So again, Fibonacci for the win. Depending on how you look at it, we had a target right about 17,000, so we got filled and took our profits as well. So again, awesome stuff there in that regard, but for lack of better terms, the daily looks positive. Let's take a look at the 4 hour and kind of see if we can see a similar scenario. What is the narrative here? So we've got a few resets. Every time it comes up, it'll go sideways for about 20 hours and consolidate and then leg up again. So we could very well see something along those lines again. I do feel more bullish than bearish, honestly, in the short term here for Bitcoin, but on the same accord, it's overextended. There's no doubt about it. It's not overextended from a time frame sense, but just from a lot of volume in a short amount of time. As you can see here, this very large candlestick for volume, reflecting the fact that we had twice as much volume in that 4 hour period than we did the preceding and the following. So again, very standard stuff here in that sense, but generally speaking, we are overextended to an extent, but not terrible. Let's take a look at the RSI and kind of see on the 4-hour. Again, that rejection at 70 on the RSI makes sense. So coming back down to bounce off 50 could very well happen, which would imply that a bounce off 16,650 is possible. We also have potential of a candle wick down between 16.5 and 16.4. These are key Fibonacci retracement levels that you'll commonly see the price jump to if there's candle wicks. So, good consideration for a limit order might be 16.4 or 16.5 based on the fact that we could see some volatility with the market shooting down and shooting up, or could even shoot up and shoot down. You never truly know. Jerome Powell has a strange way of adjusting the market, right? Everyone, hinges the market conditions off of things he says and does. Watch and pay attention to it here. It's actually coming up here in a few minutes. Make sure you pay attention, and I would just recommend some popcorn, maybe some candy if that's your thing. Sit back and watch the sparks. It may not be super eventful. It could be just a whole lot of nothing. But the way the market has been responding lately to everything he says, there's a strong likelihood it's going to shoot up or shoot down in one way or the other. Okay, so expect some funkiness here shortly, but all in all, the summarization here is that the 4-hour is still looking good, while we are losing momentum here to the upside. There's no surprise that that's happening based on the fact that we overextended ourselves, right? So we need more time to consolidate. If we can stay at this price point for the next 24 hours, I think the likelihood of going up from here is greater, because we'd have this pennant type of pattern, and it should effectively break out to the upside. Those are kind of common occurrences. Again, no guarantees. We saw recently Bitcoin actually did the opposite, where it had this pennant pattern here, and it actually came down, right? But again, never came back up. So it depends on how you look at it. It still actually did what it was supposed to. All right, taking a look at the 1 hour here, we can go ahead and see TD sequential. We hit a 9, big surprise, got rejected there, and we've been kind of tapering off ever since. We are averaging ourselves out here right about right the 1.0 level for Fibonacci, basically the 16,800. But again, it's still too early to tell, okay? Especially with the market volatility coming up here shortly. I think that we just kind of got to wait it out. So I'd recommend being patient in this scenario, or setting limit orders for long positions that are lower than the current price action. See if you get filled, and then possibly see the candle wick jump back up again. Take a look at each Mocha cloud. We can go ahead and see, of course, this here is telling us that we might want to consider trimming our position if you have a long position open. But again, conversion line is still above the baseline, and essentially we have the actual cloud itself holding the price action in place. So we still got 2 out of 3 indications here to keep your long position open. All right, so bear that in mind. We're still looking good here in the general sense for Bitcoin. All right, so again, mostly positive here in that regard. I can't see anything that I really don't like, except for the fact that we have Jerome Powell speaking here soon, and that could absolutely and should absolutely see some craziness here. So again, just be cautious and careful in today's trading environment. Obviously, if you have some stop losses in place, it's probably a good call if your position size is large or your leverage size is large. I recommend low position size and low leverage so you can navigate these kind of storms without any concern. That's my bear market strategy. Again, everyone has different strategies in place, but as you can see, we have some pretty healthy gains in a short amount of time, considering all the funkiness that happened, right? Not a single stop loss was hit. Every single thing was achieved that we set out for. It's just a matter of time. Again, majority of that is investing in coins that are worth something, right? No offense to other meme coins, for example, but there's a reason why I don't trade those, at least in this strategy. Okay. Again, different schools of thought for different folks. So I hope that you learned something here today and this made sense to you. You could digest it correctly. If not, watch it again and make sure that you understand generally that it's best to stay on the sidelines in situations like these when we have a lot of market volatility, the fundamental stuff. But if you're going to play the game, feel free to make sure that you set an egregious limit order, something that is outside of the norm, and potentially get filled, and hey, you might profit from it. Worst case scenario, the price comes down and then inevitably goes sideways. The likelihood of Bitcoin going up from here is greater because we saw the daily looks really good, right? The daily looks good. That tells us the overall sentiment is positive, and we're going to probably see some further upside. That's just kind of my guess there. All right, I hope that all goes well for you. Thanks again for joining me. We'll look forward to working with you. Have a good day.